Hello, everyone. Thank you so much for being a part of our session to learn all things about TikTok and specifically travel on TikTok. So the first 20 minutes will be myself presenting, and then the last 25 minutes, which is the part you're really going to be excited about, we have a travel creator here with us, and we're going to do a Q&A with her because no one can speak about TikTok better than the creators themselves. So jumping into it a little bit, I want to introduce myself. I am Kristen Stoutenberg, and I lead our travel partnerships team in the U.S. So there's a whole team behind the scenes that I am representing who we support brands in their advertising strategies on TikTok. So we consult on things like media plans, creative strategies to really make sure that we're helping all of our travel brands be successful. Prior to TikTok, I worked at American Airlines for 6.5 years, so very well-versed in the travel industry and excited to be in front of all of you today. And then, like I said, Michelle, our creator, her TikTok handle is LAX to Luxury. If any of you have seen her content before, we'll be out in a little bit. So what is TikTok? Obviously, if you are in this room, you have heard of TikTok, but let's see a show of hands. Who has TikTok on their phone? Okay, a good majority of you, only a couple who didn't, which don't feel bad. I was talking to somebody last night and he was like, I downloaded it 3 days ago, which we always say better late than never. But really we're gonna go into not just obviously as you're scrolling, you know what the For You feed is, but really what is setting TikTok apart and why is that important for brands to know. So first of all, TikTok's mission is really to inspire creativity and bring joy. So I hope that as you have been scrolling on the platform, that these two things really jump out to you, is that all this creativity, whether it's people expressing their unique points of view, the way they're editing their videos is really coming through, and that it brings a smile to your face. And then how we do that, really we're an entertainment platform. So take note of that, file away entertainment. Notice I didn't use the word social. We'll dive into that a little bit later. Powered by a community, so that's all of our creators, our users, that really is driving culture. So this TikTok effect, let's break it down a little bit. So you'll see a juxtaposition between the white, which is your traditional platforms, and where we are with TikTok. So really on TikTok, we go from this me mentality, so influencers on other places sharing directly to people, or even television advertising about a brand itself, to we. So really it's that power of the community. How are we connecting with each other? How are we idea sharing? And really that's what's powering a lot of authenticity on the platform. We also go from celebrity to hometown hero. So you'll hear a little bit of Michelle's story in a little bit, but to make it on TikTok, you can be anyone. Any of you could today start pulling out your phone and making videos about what you care about or what you know, and you could grow an audience. And that's really powerful to just put that in the hands of everyday consumers. Retouch to reel, so what we talked about, a lot of places it's very aesthetic, places are polished, brands want to be able to control every color, every item being perfectly in place. On TikTok, it is so real, and we see that that is what's driving a lot of the success that brands are seeing as well, because they're actually believing what is being said about their product and the experience with their product. From information to efficacy, so it's not just about finding information, it is this real? Like, how effective is what I'm hearing actually? And again, that comes through in the authenticity of the creators. And then finally, content into commerce. So we were talking a little bit ago, and Michelle had said, on my videos, people are saying, because I saw you stay at this hotel, I went and stayed there. So I'm sure you've seen TikTok made me buy it is everywhere. In the travel side of things, we say TikTok made me book it, but we're really seeing this discoverability turn right into commerce. So breaking down, I told you all to remember the word entertainment. TikTok is not just a social app. I know we get bucketed in that, but really its role isn't primarily social, because when you think about going to social, you are going to check usually what your followers are doing, what your friends are doing. When you go to TikTok, you're going to watch TikTok. So someone put it really well that it's almost like mobile first television, like you would never open TikTok and have it on mute, just like you would never turn on the TV and have it muted either. So how does it being an entertainment platform influence what brands are doing on the platform. Really important to know is that it is obviously very globally active. So we have over 1 billion monthly active users across the entire globe. So a ton of countries that we operate out of. And then in the United States alone, it is 150 million monthly active US users. And what is crazy about those numbers is some of the statistics around how those 150 million users are actually engaging. So 20% of people say that TikTok is more entertaining than other entertainment platforms. This one is wild to me. So TikTok audience is spending on average a movie's worth of time every day on the platform. So that's 90 minutes, roughly, is the time of a movie. That's the average. So some people are even spending more. But what's crazy about that is when you are on TikTok, in order for it to work, you have to be actively scrolling. So when you have other things on in the background, other streaming platforms, you can be cooking dinner, you can be talking to a friend. With TikTok, it is one screen that you are focused on, and you have to be scrolling for it to work. So it is active attention, not passive attention. And then a third of people say that they spend less time watching TV or other streaming services since downloading and using TikTok. So we're seeing a lot of essentially shift share from others onto the platform. And then for travel, we're going to dive into that next. Really between what is happening with brands, creators, and consumers, you are seeing that they are really rallying around this platform at scale. So currently there's over 145 billion views of the just hashtag travel. And then you'll see, and we'll get into it even more, all the different subcategories within that people are engaging with. So this is a little bit more detail, both US and globally. You will see there's just continued skyrocketing growth of TikTok as it relates to travel year over year. I think a lot of people, and some of you in this room may be the same, where it was like, is this just a COVID phenomenon? Was kind of the question we kept getting asked. And there has been continued steady growth even beyond that, and growth across all age groups as well. So it obviously very heavy into Gen Z, but our fastest growing segment is that kind of older audience now, as they're going, this isn't going away, we want to be a part of it, we want to learn. Friends are starting to send them TikToks, and they're like, okay, maybe it's time we download this. So again, very continued growth, and also very related to the seasonality within the travel industry as well. Like we touched on earlier, there's a really wide range of audience travel interests within our platform. So you'll see whether you are a business traveler or a budget-conscious traveler, or you're traveling for vacation, there is a community for you. Whether you are a luxury traveler, which Michelle will talk about later, or you are a very price-conscious traveler where you're going solo, whether you're traveling with family and friends, there are big communities talking about each of these sub-segments within travel on TikTok. So this is one of my favorite slides. We essentially break down travel back then versus what travel on TikTok today currently looks like. So travel back then, think of it as very flawless, curated aesthetics, and polished content would win the game. On TikTok, real, authentic human connection is what is winning. So the more that you are human, the more that a brand is becoming a human to its audience, the more that our creators are authentic to their actual experiences, the better and the more growth that you see. Like we touched on a little bit before, culture was created by celebrities, travel influencers, or a platform's elite. On TikTok, culture is created by the voices and imaginations of everyday people. So I am sure many of you in the room could think of a TikTok trend that you probably started with someone at home, right? I'm sure there's things like the boards, all those food boards right now, the peanut butter boards, the cheese boards, all of that was started by everyday people, and it has become a sensation. So again, it's changing the dialogue on who can start to have influence in mass scale. That can happen on TikTok. This one, especially as it relates to people in media in the room, we are used to digital media being sound off, static, and typically it's a second screen. TikTok is the complete opposite. So it is full screen, sound on, the first and only screen. So again, going back to when you see a lot of the TikTok data and studies that come out about how immersed people are, it is because they are not competing with as much attention-grabbing things at the same time when you're on our app. And then finally, 2 words that we'll use. One is a social graph. So that's the one that everybody's familiar with. That's built on who you know and you follow drives your experience. With TikTok, it is a content graph. So essentially, your experience is based off of your interests and your behaviors. So instead of, again, I need to be able to follow this person in order to learn this, TikTok goes, oh my gosh, I've noticed that you're interested in travel. I've noticed that you're interested in food. Here is content that helps you discover more within that category. And for travel, there's really a narrative around every phase of the travel journey. So you'll see inspiration here, people who are, again, a place to just come and discover and get inspired to travel somewhere. We help a lot in the research and planning process. So tips for booking the best flight, tips on what time to go to Europe, things like that. Action, so also when people get to the point where they're signing up for a loyalty program, did you know about the way to earn and redeem here, whether you're looking to install an app. There's a lot that's happening here in terms of that commerce in the lower funnel. And then finally, adventuring and sharing. So when people are out, they've booked, they've researched, they planned, they're kind of sharing their experience with the community. So for brands specifically, and where brands sit, especially within the travel space, so we have a whole range of categories, right? We have airlines like United, you'll see here. We have hotels, Hilton, OTAs, cruises, DMOs. Really every subset of travel brands have a presence on TikTok and are seeing a lot of success. And the reason for that success is really that brands are welcome here. So based on a study done by Kantar, TikTok ranks #1 globally for ad equity. Most of that is cited on the fact that it inspires people more and that they are more innovative than the type of content that they are seeing on other platforms. And really, we are this entertainment platform that is allowing brands to meaningfully connect with people in a way that doesn't feel one-to-one, it feels one-to-many, and it's conversational. So you'll see here, 63%, which is incredibly high, of users said they are inclined to watch ads on our platform. So you'll hear us say the saying a lot, don't make ads, make TikToks. So when someone's scrolling, they almost shouldn't know that they're watching an ad. They should just see it as another one of their TikToks, and it's, oh my gosh, cool, Hilton is teaching me this. I am thinking of Hilton as another creator and a part of this community. 61% of users say they discover new brands on the platform. So this is, again, such a discovery-driven platform that it's a really great place to not only discover a new brand, but also discover something new about a brand you may already interact with that you didn't know before. And then this one's crazy, 92% take some kind of action. So sometimes that's liking, commenting, sharing, clicking off to something, downloading an app, but really how much people are engaged is leading them to take further action with the content they're seeing. We get this question all the time. So why is TikTok foundational to your media mix? I know everyone's trying to figure out where does it sit, right? Between all the other platforms, between all the streaming, between television. The reason that it essentially belongs in the media mix is because we have a really strong priming effect on other media. So it essentially supercharges all the other media that is running in your ecosystem. So for example, on TV, viewing an ad on television after viewing a TikTok creator ad increases the memory encoding of that television ad. There's a ton of data and science that we did, essentially studying the brain around this and the memory encoding. And again, because you are so immersed when you are on TikTok, you are then prompted to remember it differently when you are seeing that brand run a commercial spot on television. And then in the social media category on your other social platforms, watching an influencer's content that is posted on one of those platforms is more memorable if you're already primed to the content on TikTok. So again, goes back to how immersed you were and engaged at that original time of seeing it on TikTok. And then for pre-roll, this one's pretty cool. You are less likely to skip through a pre-roll ad if you first watched a creator ad related to the brand on TikTok. Another Q&A format. What is the best practice length of a TikTok? And our true answer, just based off performance on the platform, is as long as you can keep your audience entertained. So this example, you may or may not have seen it. It's been written about in Ad Age in a bunch of different places. Hilton recently just launched a 10-minute ad. And most people are like, oh my gosh, you have heard, if you're a brand marketer, you're like, get your logo in within the first 3 seconds because then they're gonna be gone. They totally changed the script on this. And you can see here, people have watched fully this 10-minute video and savored this content because of the way that they leaned in and said, let's do creative completely differently than people have seen it before and see how long we can keep their attention. So again, it goes back to our mission of really, we want to inspire creativity, not just for the people watching, not just for the creators, but even for the brands that are on the platform. So creativity really wins. This is a great graphic that essentially shows how we have reshaped the traditional purchase funnel. So we have collapsed the funnel essentially from discovery all the way into action and purchase right within one video format. So you'll see here, the brand accelerates something, the community then amplifies it, and after watching one video, there is discovery, consideration, review, participation usually, and purchase all happening at once. And Michelle will get into that a little bit more when we're talking about some of the ways her videos perform. So to summarize again, kind of where we are creatively, think lo-fi on TikTok. So I have said this often. I used to be in the seats of, leading a brand and advertising team at American Airlines, and we were more comfortable spending millions of dollars on a TV shoot than we were to have a creator for a couple $1,000s make a video for us, because you lose a little bit of that control, but you gain a lot of authenticity and you gain a lot of reach. But thinking lo-fi is really important to success on the platform because that's how you get it to be more authentic. Sound. So sound is incredibly important. It is sound on. You can capture someone's attention with whatever they're first hearing, whether it's someone's voice, whether it's the music you're choosing, related to a trend. Sound should be equally as important as what you're visualizing and what you're saying in your ad. Also have fun. TikTok is all about having fun. Again, that joy aspect. If you're not having fun making the TikTok, people probably aren't going to have fun watching it. So just remember that as you're making it, it should be a really fun experience for you and something that feels so different in a way that's exciting to your brands who are trying this for the first time. And then creators. Enough cannot be said about the creators on our platform. They are our platform experts. They live this. This is most of their full-time jobs. They know how to do this better than anyone. They built this. This is their community that they have built. And so working with them and finding those right creators to partner with you and to start is a great place to be. So diving a little bit more into creators, really fun part that we're getting to, the difference between an influencer and creator. So you will never hear anyone from TikTok talk about our platform and say the influencers on here, because influencers in our mind are people who influence the behavior or opinion of other people. Creators are ones who spend hours perfecting joyful, short-form videos with their very unique points of view. So they really, again, are elevating the creativity that is found on the platform. Creator-led content, study time and time again, supercharges paid performance. And so this is just one of those things where we have done A/B tests. A lot of our travel brands do that. And again, sometimes traditional advertising works very well. So by no means are we like, don't run a traditional advertising on the platform. There is a place for that, but the more encouraged method is to go with creators, because they are very unique storytellers. And here's a little bit of data around this. So 68% of TikTok users agree that creators are approachable. So again, think about if your brand is seen as a creator, that means your brand is approachable. 3 in 4 TikTok users find creator content to be believable, which I think is a really important stat for brands. Essentially then, there is a sense of trust that is formed between you and the brand. Also, we now have a nice rain sound effect. I'm sure everybody's hearing, like a downpour outside. And then 2 out of 3 TikTok users agree that creator content tells them something new. So again, TikTok, they love to discover new things, all about discoverability. So with that, I am going to bring on probably the highlight. I'll give a brief introduction, but don't want to steal too much of her thunder. Michelle is truly one of the heart and soul of the travel part of our platform. Her handle is LAX to Luxury. I'm not going to introduce her too much, but she has been featured in multiple publications, has grown her account to over 1.1 million followers, and is just truly such a light for travel on the platform. So with that, give a warm welcome to Michelle. Yay, I know. Yay. Okay, y'all, this is Michelle. We're just gonna go through a fun Q&A with her. And I know the question everybody wants to know, which is with creators, is how did you get started on TikTok?
So it's not like the most traditional way to have gotten started. I have, especially when we're talking travel, I have 2 golden retrievers I'm obsessed with. Anyone who has dogs probably understands that obsession. And I started a channel for them, or an account for them, on another platform in 2015. Around fall 2019, I started hearing some rumblings, like TikTok, this new platform. It had been around for a bit, but it started getting more mainstream at that point. Skyrocketed during COVID, but it's getting pretty mainstream during 2019. And I started an account for them on TikTok. And in 6 weeks, I think on the other platform, they had probably like 35,000 followers, which took 4 years to get to. And on 6 weeks in TikTok, I had amassed a greater audience on TikTok. So I had always had this idea in the back of my head, like, I'm an obsessive traveler. Obsessive. It's the planning, the research, the optimization. I always wanted an outlet for that, but I didn't think there was a great opportunity on other platforms. I felt they were saturated. They weren't the right vibe for me. So it was just always in the back of my head. I saw that happen with the dogs account, and I was like, let me just try this. I'm just going to sit on my sofa, make an account, post an old video, put some music on it. And the first video got 600,000 views. And then I tried it again, and the second video got 500,000 views. And I was like, maybe this is the platform, this is the time.
You're like, there's something here.
I'm just going to start. This is my public travel persona for the first time ever on TikTok. And it was a very fun and adventurous start.
Yeah, so she has her golden retrievers to thank for her early TikTok beginnings. So tell us a little bit more about how travel specifically became your TikTok community. Obviously, you're an avid traveler.
Yes.
But to build a true community with 1.1 million followers, how did that happen?
So I first started off on TikTok, like I said, those first couple of TikToks were just aesthetic clips, and I put music on them because that was kind of what was happening at the time. And that was also very similar to the formula you would see on other platforms. It was very aesthetic. It was just, everyone knows that. It's the tried and true. But then as TikTok really started evolving and it became a very information-forward platform, my value add as a creator is my information. I am not a professional photographer by any means. I create beautiful short-form video, but that's not my strength. My strength is the information I'm giving because, like I said, I am an obsessive researcher, obsessive planner, obsessive optimizer. So if I've got all this information in my brain and I can present it in clear and concise ways that audiences understand and appreciate, that's going to be my value add. So that's kind of where I was, that's always kind of been in the back of my mind. Once TikTok started kind of pivoting towards that educational stance, and I was able to really start exploring that, that's when everything exploded for me. It was just the perfect fit. It was just so natural for me.
Yeah, and that's one thing we touched on earlier is obviously entertainment can take many forms. A lot of it's educational. And so it's great that you found something that was so suited to who you are. And I think that's the important part of it is be authentically you and you'll succeed.
For sure.
So how LAX to Luxury? Explain your creator handle. Like, where did that come from?
Shockingly, my husband actually came up with it. We were just kind of like sitting around and just playing around. Like I knew I always wanted to cover luxury travel. Like had I started a travel account 10, 15 years ago, it would have been like a backpacker adventures sort of thing. But at this stage in my life and my career, I've really leaned into luxury travel as a consumer. So I always knew that would be what I'd want to cover. But in terms of the account name, honestly, we were just sitting around and he just goes, LAX to Luxury, because I'm based in LA, by the way, if that's not clear. And I looked at him and I was like, that was brilliant. Let's see if it's available. Of course it's available. It's so unique.
Yeah.
So yeah. It was
awesome.
not me. I cannot take credit for that.
Okay. So you can take credit for your content,
Yes.
obviously. What has been your best performing content, and why do you think it's performed the way that it has?
Definitely the informative content, the informational content. And the reason is the life of content on TikTok is infinite. You can create a piece of content today and people are still referencing it years later. I was actually ahead of this talk, I was trying something on my own where I would like refresh my notifications and look at like filter them by likes and favorites. And I think it shows you like maybe 6 or 7 or 8 at a time. And I would keep, like over the last few days, I would keep refreshing. Those first like 6 or 8 that it would show you, about half of the most recent actions that anyone had taken on my videos were on videos I had posted in like 2020 or 2020 or 2021, meaning people are searching for that content later. Like it may not be relevant to someone when I post it now, but they're searching for it later. So anything that's super informational, search optimized, something that can be like an evergreen reference for years to come, that's the content that performs the best for me. It may not perform the best in the moment. A lot of times it does, but if it doesn't, years later, it can be something people are still referencing, and the life of content performance is something you don't get on other platforms. So I feel like that's why it performs so well on TikTok.
Yeah, and I don't know how many of you have seen, a study came out essentially saying that Gen Z is going to TikTok now to search more than they are other traditional places to search. And TikTok is obviously aware of that. And the more and more, to Michelle's point, people are like in the moment going, hotel in Fiji, right? Maybe Michelle's content from 8 years ago, 8 months, TikTok didn't exist, 8 months ago will resurface then. And so for brands, we are encouraging everyone to just start to get really comfortable with the platform and creating for the platform, so that as our search tools, which are, being built out over time, develop more and more, and brands have more of a role to play in that, they won't be starting from zero. They won't be like, wait, how do I make a TikTok? I'm ready to do search. Oh, wait, I don't even know where to start on the platform. So to you, you're ahead of the game, obviously, and you're seeing that behavior reflected in your organic channel.
Every day.
That's awesome. So why do you think it's important for brands to be on TikTok?
TikTok gives brands an opportunity that is very unique to TikTok to express a personality and kind of humanize the brand in a way you don't see on other platforms. I think Ryanair is a really good example of this. I don't know if anyone here follows Ryanair on TikTok or has seen Ryanair TikToks. They are creative geniuses in terms of really tapping into like Gen Z and millennial humor. I am a luxury travel creator, and like when I go to Europe, I'm like, I want to hop on a Ryanair flight. This is something I want to experience, just because the personality that they bring to TikTok really humanizes the brand. But on top of that, the authenticity you can get from being a brand on TikTok, you access consumers, you kind of get like, you touch different parts of their like psyche and their emotional, affect. You really kind of play into how people want to know people more on TikTok versus when you are watching a commercial on TV, seeing pre-roll elsewhere. Like that just feels way
disconnected.
Yeah.
It's like harder to relate it to your life specifically.
100%.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
And then why do you think it's important for brands to work with creators?
So like you were saying, TikTok is driven by creators. The brand presence on TikTok is amazing when it's done right, but it is creators who really drive the platform. Creators understand their audiences. Creators understand how the platform is evolving. Like I said, when I first started, aesthetic B-roll with, music, that was something that worked in 2019. But we are on the platform every single day as consumers. Like that 90-minute average, if you're a creator, it's the screen time, it's embarrassing. But we spend so much time on the app that we know the app so well.
Yeah.
We know the trends. We know what people want to see. We know what topics to avoid because, they get talked about on TikTok. Creators are going to be your main portal to understanding the audiences on TikTok and really connecting with them. And people trust creators. We have built audiences that know and trust our voices. So even before a brand really finds their own voice on TikTok, they can work with creators to really connect with their audiences and kind of shortcut their way to building that brand equity and goodwill on TikTok.
Totally. And I think because we have seen how important creators are, both obviously to the platform itself, but then also to brands, we have a lot of tools and resources that we can then use to help make sure that if a brand's personality and tone of voice is XYZ, how are you being paired with the right creators? Like, what are the creators that already love your brand and are just like, find me, right? Like, you are using, you talked a little bit about your relationship with United earlier, where it's like, you can talk how that got started. Actually, it's a funny story. But again, she was the perfect fit for that brand specifically because she was already a user. She had a similar tone. She had a similar style to what their brand already represented.
Yeah, so United is one of my longest partners that I've worked with. I started with them in 2020, and it actually came about really organically. I took my first leisure flight during COVID in August 2020. All the precautions, masking, went somewhere socially distanced. It was as safe as it could be at the time. But airlines were struggling to get out a message of COVID preparedness. What were they doing on board? How were they making travel safe? So I just reached out to, literally I went to their media site, pr@united.com, and I was like, hey, I'm going to take this flight. Any chance I could get some video of the electrostatic spraying? I just want to create some content on, what you're doing. They ended up flying down a representative from San Francisco. They had me at the airport 3 hours early. I got a whole tour. It was so cool. I created 8 pieces of content out of that, organic pieces of content that went on to do millions and millions of views. And people really started understanding from that content. It was some of the first content that was creator-led, really firsthand talking about what was being done to make travel safer from an air travel perspective. So that they really leaned into that. They hadn't started their own TikTok yet. That came about in November. But when they did, we got to start working together a lot more, and my brand, my voice worked with what they needed to do, and it's been a very great relationship. They're a great team.
Yeah, it's essentially a brand partnership, where an ambassador program almost, where you are an ambassador for that brand, and you can speak on their behalf in a way that again humanizes the brand, like we were talking about. So, speaking of that, obviously from a creator's point of view, we get exposed to ads everywhere, all day, every day. Why do you think TikTok is effective for advertising? Obviously, you've helped make ads. You also do a lot of content that never lives as an ad. But what about advertising on TikTok do you think is a reason that brands should get excited about wanting to build that presence here?
TikTok is so authenticity driven. Right? I'm just anyone. I feel like what's interesting is when people meet me, they're always like, oh my gosh, you're so relatable, you're so approachable. And it's like, I'm literally just a human being. I'm just I don't know. I feel like you see on other platforms, they build a very big image of themselves. TikTok, you get a very down to earth. It's just literally someone that could be your best friend, your next door neighbor who's just creating content. And you trust that person so much more. When you are on another platform and you see someone talking about, whichever brand, it can feel forced, it's just a different vibe. I don't know if you're on TikTok, you kind of understand. It's a vibe. It's a feeling.
It's a whole culture.
It's a culture. And when you're on TikTok, you trust someone so much more when they're telling you something. So it's just that authenticity-driven nature of the advertising makes it land so much faster. It's kind of like what you were saying. Somewhere else, maybe if you don't get your logo in the first 3 seconds, someone will scroll. On TikTok, someone will spend 10 entire minutes watching something if it's someone that they know, trust, and love.
Yeah. Well, I think it's one thing to just see an image of somewhere, of a travel destination, or to read a written review. It is a whole other thing to watch someone's video of them not only telling you about the experience, but also showing you and walking you through it in video. It's a very different type of then almost feeling of confidence that you know what you're getting yourself into, which I think you've done. We were talking earlier. You have had comments on your videos that have literally said, oh my gosh, because I saw this, I went and stayed at this place.
And it can even be a brand that's people are familiar with. So from a discovery aspect, if it's a property, especially if it's a property that's not associated with a major chain, right? So if it's a boutique property in Switzerland that people would not have heard of otherwise, I'll get comments a year later saying, oh my gosh, I went there and it was actually as amazing as it looked.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for introducing it to me. But it could be a brand that everyone's heard of. So United is another really good example. If you're flying around the US on narrow bodies, your idea of first class and economy are basically a bigger recliner seat and a smaller seat, right? You may not know that a United or an American or a Delta has a premium lie flat business class product if you've never flown on a wide body. So I will be on, Polaris, that's United's business class product. I will be flying around on Polaris and people will comment, United has that? That's insane. Like, I had no idea. And then I might get a DM months later, hey, you went to Tahiti on United and Polaris, so then I went to Tahiti on United and Polaris on my honeymoon, and I had no idea that that premium experience was available on a US carrier. So you can be a brand everyone knows and still introduce new things to audiences via TikTok in a way that people... it's a discovery element to get that information to people that you don't get on other platforms.
Oh my gosh, and it totally creates a sense of FOMO. Like, we were talking earlier, I'm like, you have been everywhere. She's like, Tahiti, which you just said, the Maldives, French Polynesia, I mean, just everywhere. And I think that too, when you're seeing it and seeing it through your eyes, I'm like, okay, I need to book a trip and go now. Like, I have seen pictures of it forever, but when it is coming from you, it's different.
But it also feels accessible on TikTok.
Yes, that's exactly it too.
Thing is, like, sometimes you'll be on TikTok and you'll just be like, oh, this is just another influencer doing whatever, posing in a pretty place.
Yeah.
Whereas I can be like, okay, well, this is how I got there.
Yeah.
Maybe I booked this property on points, or maybe I got a great deal here, or maybe it was a hosted stay.
Yeah.
But all of that can be very transparently explained in this more detailed content that you can create when you have video that talks through things and is informative, and it just feels so much more accessible. It's not, oh, this pretty person got a stay in the Maldives, great, scroll. It is, ooh, this is really pretty. She did it, so can't I do it?
Yeah.
And then the action gets spurred.
Yeah. And not only through video, but through comments. So that too is essentially, again, it's different than sending someone to a landing page or an article where they're reading all about it. If they have a question about part of that experience, they can literally say, oh my gosh, Michelle, this is so cool. What day of the week did you book that flight that you got that good fare, right? Like, there's all sorts of, again, going back to community and authenticity. So where it's one to many, it's not, just this one-to-one. There's the exchange that can happen as well. So obviously, this is a room. I don't know if you saw the show of hands. Actually, majority of people in here have TikTok, which is awesome. So whether I know we were like so excited. So whether it is personally or even they're all a part of travel brand in some way, what advice would you give them to be successful on TikTok?
So I understand the audience is very senior in level, so you may not love what I'm about to say, just to prime you. But having been a corporate person myself, I left my corporate job about 6 months to do this full time, but I was corporate for 13 years. I was most recently an executive director of sales operations and strategy. Like, I get the corporate background, and I understand that there's a lot of red tape sometimes behind how you present your brand image online. So I came from a luxury beauty brand, very specific brand image they want to project, and very strict brand standards. That doesn't really fly on TikTok. So you really kind of have to give a bit more authority and autonomy to the teams that are leading your social media in order to really connect with audiences on TikTok. That's probably my biggest thing, is kind of cut out the red tape. You can't have, when you have such a trend-driven platform as well, what's great about TikTok is you can do the informative evergreen pieces while also giving your brand a bit of a personality by participating in trends.
Yeah.
But trends are fleeting.
Yes.
If you have something in approvals for 4 weeks, you don't get to participate in that trend. So cut out a bit of the red tape, be a bit more willing to let loose and have fun. Then the second thing I would also say is performance can be really variable, and that's not a bad thing. Performance can be variable, meaning you could have 10 TikToks that you post that get 10,000 views each, and then you could have an 11th one that you post that gets 10 million views. But you need to be able to post the 11 TikToks to be able to have the opportunity to have that virality. And every piece of content in between, you're building community. So virality isn't necessarily the thing you're chasing.
Totally.
Community is so important as well. So push through the fact that maybe our first few TikToks, the brand I worked at, probably the first 50 TikToks they posted got 100 views each. And then they post one that does really, really well and takes a product that does $3 million annually to become a $16 million annual product. And this is like one product in the entire product line. So this is something that you really kind of, it's a morale thing. Just remember that you really, a morale and consistency thing. Performance can be variable, push through it, and that's where the real successes come through.
Yeah, I think that's so great too, because I think everybody's like, how do we do Bama Rush and do what Kendra Scott did and become that brand and sell out all the shelves? How do we make this hotel just sell out everywhere? it's consistency and that instant gratification. I think because everybody knows it's possible on TikTok to go viral, that's everybody's like day one goal, which is awesome. But just knowing it takes time and consistency, because the more that you're testing and learning, the better you will get at it and the more fun you'll continue to have it and the community you'll build. And again, because of search, all of that original content is not going to waste. It is still so important because the odds are someone will be looking for it someday.
Sure. And to add on to that, when you're working with a creator, I think a lot of people, especially as a creator, I work on brand deals and campaigns. I think a lot of brands are still doing one-off campaigns. And I think what United does really well, with me at least, is a lot of people now associate me with United and United with me. So my audience, they will see, they'll fly on United and then they'll message me and be like, oh, I just flew on blah, 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 and it was so much fun. I thought of you. If you are kind of doing a one and done with creators, you're not building as much of that trust and kind of that long-term association with that creator. Working with a creator on TikTok as a brand, I think one of my other pieces of advice would be invest in kind of those long-term ambassadorships over just those, one and done campaigns. And I think you'll see a lot more success from that versus, these one and done campaigns.
I love that. Okay, we have 2 final questions for you. 1, how has TikTok changed your life?
Okay, so like I said, I was very much a corporate person up until 6 months ago. I am not as lucky as everyone here. Not lucky, you guys have all worked incredibly hard to be where you are. My corporate path never took me towards travel. As obsessed as I was with travel, I would have given the number of times, you used to be at American Airlines, the number of times I would scroll airline, I'd just be like, I'm full on corporate person, but can I just get maybe a gate agent job on the weekend so I can get non-rev benefits? The obsession I had with working in travel, and it didn't end up happening for me in my corporate life. I just went a different path, but I was able to create this kind of side, I don't want to call it a hustle, but a side kind of project. Passion that I was able to express on social media. And now I was able to leave my job and do this full time, which is, it was inconceivable to me at that point, but now I have the freedom and the ability to go and travel as much as I've always wished I could. The stuff that a lot of people will save for retirement, I'm getting to do now, which is so exciting. It's just, oh my God, my heart is so full just thinking of it. And it's not to get into numbers, but I'm doing way better now as a creator than I was even in my executive level job, which is just speaks to the power of how TikTok can really change someone's life. I get to do something I love, and I am able to sustain my life doing
your life.
So.
Yeah, that's amazing. And you're not alone in that. I think that goes back to all the communities that we have and all the creators who you will, I'm sure at one point, meet when you work with creators. The gratitude that they have is really just in the sense that their voice is being heard and being so valued and being rewarded, and whatever they're uniquely passionate about is what they get to do all day, every day, which is so fun to be able to have that outlet to do
get
it.
emotional thinking about it. It's
so sweet.
This year alone, before I was budgeting my PTO, right? And stretching out content from one trip over 2 months because I was balancing PTO with being a travel creator. And now, this year alone, I got to go on a 2-week solo trip. I love solo travel, and I just didn't get to do that much of that as, when I'm balancing my PTO and I want to share trips with my husband. I went on a 2-week solo trip to Vietnam, and then I took my dad back to Argentina, and then my husband and I went flying around the world on a round-the-world trip recently. And this was all in the first 3 months of the year, and I would never have been able to do that. Would have been 3 years worth of PTO in my corporate role.
Yeah. That's so special. Well, we're almost at time, so I think we actually kind of answered the last question, which essentially everyone asked, how is TikTok driving culture? TikTok is in the headlines all over, I'm sure. I mean, none of you are strangers to that. And so really, it is driving culture, I think, really as a testament to it is giving people, everyday people, a voice and allowing them to express themselves in a way that is so true to themselves, but also really authentic to what they're passionate about. And so you see that really being what is creating things that go viral, is people just exuding joy, being themselves, being authentic. And that is both on the side of creators and also brands. So I think, for all of you in the room, I hope you leave this session feeling just excited about where TikTok is at, the opportunity that you have uniquely to, even if you're already on TikTok, amazing job. Keep going. And if you haven't started with your brand yet, there is so much opportunity ahead for you. And our team, I'm based in LA. We have team coast to coast. If there is ever anything we can do for you, you have my name, Kristen Stoutenberg. Please feel free to find me on LinkedIn or reach out. But thank you for being here with us, taking your time, and we hope you're excited about travel on TikTok, just like we are. So thank you. Yay.